Hello, glad you can join us live. My name is Henrik, glad you can join us live. In this video, tonight we're going to be talking about why you should learn C. And this is the 5th day. I'm doing a 10-day series, and we started on Monday, and we end on Friday. And then I'll take a break during the weekend, but then I'll pick it up again on next Monday. So please join us as we continue this 10-day series. I'm going to be teaching about programming. And if you've ever wanted to start learning how to program, I've got a nice, cool guide called My Personalized Finance App Programming Guide. Basically, what it does is it teaches you how to go from no coding experience to building your first app. And in that application, it's a personalized finance app. So it takes your credit card transactions, and then you take your credit card transactions, and then you create a program that will put your transactions in different budget categories, and that way you know how much you're spending in different categories. So I built this app. I built this app for myself. I wanted to see how much I'm spending in different categories, so that's why I think it'd be a good first app for you if you're just learning how to program. So the link is in the description, and if you download it, you pay attention to what it says, then I think that will be you'll definitely learn some fundamental programming concepts. So tonight, before we start, I want to say that I'm going to open it up for a live Q&A. So if you have any questions about what I talk about in terms of learning C, then feel free to ask at the end of this live chat or live video. All right, so let's start. So why should you learn C? So I think the first one that I came up with, it has a long history. So it was created in 1972 by Dennis Ritchie, and fun fact, he actually died after Steve Jobs, like very in the same month. I think it was October 2011. So he died a week after Steve Jobs. But a lot of people don't know about Dennis Ritchie, how he died after Steve Jobs. But I think he has made such a big contribution to our technology to the technological world we live in. A lot of things are coded in C, and a lot of languages are built and inspired by C. I talked about this a little bit yesterday. And so I think it's kind of sad that we didn't really there wasn't much press about Dennis Ritchie. So thank you, Dennis Ritchie, for your contribution to programming. And yeah, so C was invented or created by Dennis Ritchie in 1972, and is still being used today. And there's an adaptation which maybe you're more familiar with is C++. So C++ is a expanded version of C. So C++ makes sense. And then there's a lot of other languages that were influenced by C. They're not exactly copied. They're not exactly built from C, but they are. So there's C#, and then Python, Java, JavaScript. What's these major languages that everyone knows that are really popular? They were inspired by C. And a lot of people call C as like the mother of all languages, although it's not. It's kind of in debate, but I really like that name, the mother of all languages. People say that it's the lingua franca. On Reddit, someone said it was the lingua franca of the programming world. I don't know if I said lingua franca, pronounced it correctly, but yeah. So C has a rich history, and a lot of programming languages were inspired and built from C. And a lot of major projects were built on C. So one thing I learned when I was doing research on this for this video, to prepare for this video, I found out that the Python interpreter was built in C. So I didn't know that, and I think that's pretty interesting. So there's actually some like cousinhood or sisterhood between C, or brotherhood between C and Python. So that's interesting. And I would like to say too is I use it today. So in my job, I use it a lot. I think it's the only programming language I use now. Actually, I use C#, but I mainly use C, and that's because I do work more directly with hardware. So in my job, I would do more work that interfaces with hardware. And I think if you want to get as close as you can to the hardware, if you're working directly with hardware, then C is probably the best language to use. And I don't see our company changing from C anytime soon, because we have so much code in C, and it's used in many it's used in many of our code already, and a lot of our products. And it's very expensive to just change from C and go into Java, or program in Python. It's really expensive. If yeah, it doesn't make sense. Business From a business perspective, it doesn't make sense. Imagine if all the companies in the world wanted to go from Word document to Google Docs, or they wanted to use, what is Apple's word processor? I don't know. I don't even know what Apple's is. But just all that to say is, it's very expensive to change from C. A lot of things are built in C already. So imagine having to change, and yeah, it would be very expensive. So I see C as having a long term stay in the programming world. So if you learn C today, I don't think you have to worry that you're not gonna use C in the future, because I still use it today, even though it was written in 1972. It's 2023. Happy New Year. And how many years is that? 40 years? That's a lot. That's a long time. So it's a good programming language, and it's stood the test of time. That's something that a lot of people will say who are proponents of C, is C has stood the test of time, and a lot of other languages, they kind of just died off. And that's because C is tried and tested. It has a legacy involved. So that's the first reason why you should learn C. You should learn C is because it has a legacy, is tried and tested. All right, second reason is, I kind of mentioned this in my first reason, but it is efficient and flexible. And what I mean by efficient is, if you want to build the fastest code, the most efficient code, then you probably should use assembly. But no one wants to code in assembly. So most people would say is C is the most efficient next to assembly. So if you want to, and actually sometimes if you code it in C, you can be just as efficient as assembly. It's almost just as fast as assembly, depending on how you code your program in C. And there's a lot of tools out there that use C. For example, operating systems. So a lot of operating systems have some component built off of C. There's Unix, Linux, Mac, Windows. They have some component of C. There's a lot of gaming engines. So if you want to get into gaming, you can also, or programming gaming, then gaming engines are built in C, because they need speed. They need an efficient program. So C is a good way to program. Then there's also IoT and wearable devices. A lot of those are built off of C. And like I said, it's because if you're getting as close to the hardware as you can, C is a good pick, because you don't want to be, if you want efficiency, then you choose C. And likewise, embedded systems, like the ones that I work with, you should use C, because it will give you more efficient program. And if your programs are time sensitive, that you don't want a race condition, or you need to have really good timing, then you need to code it in C. And so I said the second reason was it's efficient and flexible. And what I mean by flexible is that there's two senses in which it's flexible. The first sense is that it is able to do whatever you want, like anything that you can think of. You could probably just code it in C. And C basically just is hands off, lets you do whatever you want. It even allows you to do things that are technically bad in terms of bad coding practice. But sometimes you want to do like some bad coding style practice to get for efficiency purposes. So sometimes it's good to do C. Some people might disagree with me, but yeah, C will give you that flexibility. But in Java, for example, Java is gonna complain like, oh, you can't do that, that's illegal. No, you're not allowed to do that. It will like stop you from doing certain things. And sometimes that's good for new programmers. You want for new programmers, sometimes it's good. It's kind of like training wheels, or it's kind of like some like in bowling. You know, you have those guards at the guards on the side. Java is kind of like they put the guards in there so you don't go into the gutter. But C will just open the gutters, let you do whatever you want. So that there's that sense in it, which is flexible. And then the second one in which it's flexible is that it can be used on any device. So you can put a C code on any device, on most computer or any type of embedded system. You can put C on there, and you don't have to worry about installing any kind of interpreter. You can just put C. But the thing with C is you also have to know what hardware you're running on. So that is one negative, but it's also could be a positive, because if you already know what hardware you're going to be running on, then you can optimize your program. So efficiency and flexibility, basically you can do a lot of things with C. You can talk to many types of computers, many types of devices, and it's like in a verbal language, C will allow you to talk to more computers, if you want to use that analogy. So C, efficiency and flexibility. And then the third one is the third reason why you should learn C is that it is a good starting language. And that is my experience. And I think it's because it is a good, it teaches you, like I said before, it brings you really close to the hardware. So when you code, you have to think about the hardware when you're coding, and you have to manage memory, and then you have to think about memory addresses, and very, very computer centered type of thinking when you're programming. But when you code in other languages, you're not really thinking about the hardware that much. And I think when you have that background where you know how computers are designed, you know how computers are thinking, you know how what's under the hood, then you can design your application, your program to run in the best possible way. So I think it's a good starting language, just because it gives you that background of how the computer is set up, how the computer thinks, like more of the computer side of things. And also it is good. I think it's also good because it will take you, it's easier to go from C, I think, to Java versus going from Java to C. And likewise, it's easier to go from C to Python than Python to C. And I think most people will agree that it's easier that way to go from C to other languages, because when you go from other languages to C, there's a lot more things you have to worry about. For example, like I said about memory, you have to worry about memory, allocating memory, and in the other languages you don't really have to worry about that. But with C, you do have to worry about that. So when you finally go into those other programming languages, say with my background, when I started coding in Java and Python, it felt like I felt like I was without training wheels, or I felt like I had taken these weights off and I was programming with a lot of freedom. Like I felt like I was it was a lot easier than it was a lot easier to code in these other languages when I had this C background. So that's why C is one of the better starting languages. I think it'll help you be a good developer. If that is your goal, it'll help you be a good overall developer. And I would say I think C was the most important class that I took in college, because it gave me a lot of good programming fundamentals. And it also gave me the intuition that I needed to self-learn other languages. It helped me have a basic program type of mindset, and it helped me to pick up other languages, self-learn other languages. And I was even talking to a friend just today. I was asking him he actually does web development now. And I asked him, how is your background in C? How did that impact you in your career? And he told me that he learned C like me. He was actually my student. It's a funny thing. He was one of my students in university when I was a TA or a UTF. But we were basically the same year. I was just teaching 1 year younger. But anyways, he was just telling me that he self-learned Java. So he self-learned Java, and he was doing his own Android apps. And I also did that too in my old job. So we kind of self-taught ourselves, and then before you knew it, he was able to land a job doing web applications. So having this background in C can really give you a lot of flexibility. Again, that word flexibility into different programming paths. So I think that's why C is a good programming language. And also, last thing I'll say is everyone is learning Python, Java, JavaScript, and React, and all these popular languages. But no, how many people do you know is learning C? So I think you should be unique and learn C. So that's my pitch to you: is you should be unique and learn C. And if you become a C programmer, you'll be part of a special club of programmers of history. There's a lot of history. You'll be a part of a special club. I was talking to a friend the other day who is doing Ruby on Rails, and I told him I was coding in C, and he was like, oh wow, he was giving me like respect because I knew C. And for me, because C was the first language I learned in university, I was taken aback by that, because C, I don't really think of it as that hard, but I guess for him, he thought it was hard. So I don't know. So yeah, you should be unique. You learn C, and C is actually not that hard. How old was I when I learned C? I was like 18 years old. Oh, I think I was 19 years old. No, I was 18 years old, and I was learning C. And yeah, if I can learn C as an 18-year-old, then you can learn C in whatever age you are. So those are the 3 reasons why you should learn C. First one is it has that deep legacy. It has a rich history. The second one, it is efficient and flexible. And third one, it is a good starting language. It'll give you the background, the intuition, and the developer intuition, and all that good background subconscious stuff as you learn other languages. I don't know if that makes sense, but you get what I mean, right? So I'd love to open up for questions. What do you guys have any thoughts on or questions about what I said? Where are you in your programming journey? I'd love to hear where you are. Are you learning another language at this time? Feel free to leave that information in the chat, or in a question in the comments. Love to hear what you guys have to say about C, and obviously you click this video. What is something about C that entices you? So I'm interested to hear why you're curious about learning C. Also, if you haven't downloaded already, I have a programming guide called my Personalized Finance App Programming Guide. It'll take you again from zero coding experience to building your first app. It's really fun. It's a really fun project. You can download it in the link in the description, and I hope it's helpful. And like I said before, it is I think learning. And when I was learning in university, projects were essential for my programming development. Having projects, and when you have a goal and you have a task in mind, really helps solidify and help you really understand the programming concepts that you're learning when you have an actual application. So I hope you can download this guide, and it would be really helpful for you in your programming journey. All right. Well, thank you all for joining this live, and thank you for those who had been watching since Monday. Thank you again, and look forward to seeing you guys on Monday. And again, I'm going to be checking the comments. So if you have any questions or you have any thoughts, I will be engaging with the comments in the coming days and weeks. And I'd love to hear more from you guys so I can make better content for you.